Social Cognitive Career Theory by Edward Lent. According to Lent, SCCT or Social Cognitive Career Theory is distinct from, but complementary to, both person, environment or trait and factor theories, as well as developmental theories. SCCT, on the other hand, is closely associated with Crumbolt's learning theory of career development. It includes Bandura's triadic reciprocal causality paradigm. Triadic reciprocal causation, mutual influences between three sets of variables. Reciprocal determinism is the concept that behavior is regulated or determined by both the individual and the environment, via cognitive processes and external social stimuli. Individual behavior should be transformed by the premise of reciprocal determinism, that allows for the transparency of subjective thought processes when compared to cognitive, environmental, and external social stimulus events. In other words, triadic reciprocal causation is a system assuming human action, as a result of an interaction with the environment, behavior, and a person. Bandura explains person as being a cognitive factor such as memory, anticipation, and planning. Self-efficacy is a mediating variable in the model and is also an important concept in SCCT. Bandura describes self-efficacy as a subjective assessment of one's ability to carry out a course of action in the face of a hypothetical event. SCCT's goal is to trace relationships between individuals and their work environments, attempting to account for the full environment in which they make career decisions. It also makes an attempt to connect cognitive processes to interpersonal aspects. For example, it tries to explain how external circumstances influence people's self-concept, what influences in my surroundings influence who I feel and think I am. It tries to uncover relationships between self-imposed and externally imposed factors, such as the constraints people impose on themselves as a result of external forces. SCCT is very close to Bandura's theory. SCCT originally consisted of three overlapping and interacting models aimed at explaining the processes through which people developing career interests, making, forging, enacting and revising occupational choices, achieving career success. Self-efficacy belief. Bandura's theory also considers people's perceptions about their own skills to plan and execute steps to achieve specific personal goals. These self-beliefs are dynamic and are not the same as self-esteem, which is more general. They are related to the environment surrounding a work or the nature of the task itself. For example, playing piano in front of an audience. Bandura claims that self-efficacy beliefs are formed from four key sources of information. Personal performance accomplishments, vicarious learning, learning derived from independent sources such as through hearing or observation, rather than doing and experimenting, social persuasion, physiological and affective states. For example, depression can suppress our belief in our abilities. Outcome expectations refers to the perceived effects, consequences, or outcomes of specific behaviors. Even if their self-efficacy for the task required is great, people choose positive outcome expectations, and avoid those that are likely to have a bad outcome. Both self-efficacy and expectations for outcomes are intertwined. If someone is confident in their abilities, they can expect a positive outcome. People are also more likely to feel confident, and try the behavior that leads to a positive outcome if they expect a positive result. According to Lent, goals, often known as personal goals, are statements about how much and how well a person wants to accomplish something. They aid in the organization, direction, and maintenance of specific behaviors by measuring how far people believe they have progressed toward a goal. Self-efficacy beliefs and outcome expectations influence a person's goals. A person's self-efficacy beliefs and outcome expectations can be influenced by their sense of strong or weak progress, and vice versa. Let's look at how these building pieces were employed in their model to investigate how basic career interests arise within individuals. According to Lent, SCCT consists of 4 distinct but overlapping models: the interest model, the choice model, the performance model, and the satisfaction model. The interest model. A child's environment provides a variety of activities. Youngsters are encouraged to excel at specific activities. They practice these and receive feedback. And, depending on the nature of the feedback and their response in the 3 basic building blocks above, interest or disinterest is generated. The choice model. Making career decisions is a continuous set of processes rather than a one-time event. As seen in the interest model, certain options become more interesting and viable over time, while others become less appealing and less likely to succeed. Choices can be reconsidered and changed in the future. The performance model. The performance model developed by SCCT is focused on predicting and explaining 2 major components of performance. SCCT examines how ability, self-efficacy, result expectations, and performance goals influence success and perseverance. Ability or aptitude is a mix of intrinsic potential and learned skills. The satisfaction model. The experience of satisfaction and well-being in education or occupation. The development of interest. The arrow represents influences. There are 2 predictions here. First, an individual's occupational or academic interests at any point in time are reflective of his or her concurrent self-efficacy beliefs and outcome expectations. Second, an individual's occupational interests are also influenced by his or her occupationally relevant abilities, but this relationship is mediated by one's self-efficacy beliefs. The underlying premise of the theory is that, we are interested in doing something that we perceive we're good at, and that we're more likely to practice, and become good at something we're really interested in. This means that self-efficacy and outcome expectations play a central role in this theory. In reality, this means that if a person engages in an activity that they enjoy and from which they expect favorable results, they are more likely to establish higher-level objectives for doing more of it. As a result of these objectives, the possibility of increased engagement in that activity increases. Individual successes will rise as they participate more, and they will get both intrinsic and extrinsic rewards. In a dynamic process, these accomplishments and rewards will impact the individual's self-efficacy beliefs and outcome expectations. Perceived abilities have a significant impact on self-efficacy beliefs, which determine interests. The making of choices. The interest model is shown in the image below by the interests, choice goals, choice actions, and performance domains and attainments. The processes that precede choice making make certain options more or less likely to be pursued over time. Individuals are more likely to pursue outcomes that they believe are both achievable and fascinating. There are 3 components to making a choice. First, a person's first choice to work or study in a particular subject. Second, taking steps to achieve one's objective, example enrolling in a course. Finally, future choices, self-efficacy beliefs, and outcome expectations are influenced by subsequent performance experiences such as feedback in the form of success or failure, which in turn produces feedback as a learning experience. The environment influences the individual's choice-making process. Individuals do not make value-free or unbiased choices. People are chosen by their environments as well, for example, by local availability, success in a job interview from a random pool of candidates, and so on. This paradigm is similar to Holland's theory and person-environment fit theories. People with comparable views, expectations, backgrounds, and interests are more likely to make similar choices. Interpretation of the model, cultural influences. As it were, a person's inputs or influences come from inside. Culturally defined factors such as ethnicity or gender would influence a person's social learning experience. Whether you're a woman or a man, Your learning experience is shaped by the culture you live in and colored by how your biological sex influences your interaction with the learning experience, both in terms of the kind of learning experiences available and how they're absorbed. In affordances, each person derives some accommodations from the environment, for example, social and material resources or deficits that assist shape his or her career growth. Affordances are divided up in two different types represented in the illustration above. One is the distal or background contextual influences, which is active as an influence on learning experiences and therefore self-efficacy beliefs and outcome expectations. And the other is the proximal environmental influences, which comes into play during the active phases of choice making. Following interests into career choice, which is the career choice phase, is divided into several component processes. The choice goals is the expression of a primary choice goal from among one's major career interests. The choice actions are actions designed to implement the choice, for example, enrolling in a particular training program or academic course. Subsequent performance attainments that create a feedback loop, affecting the shape of future career behavior. For example, academic failures, admission acceptances. According to SCCT, individual choice is often, but not always, linked to interests. Other factors, environmental and personal, prompt compromise. This puts SCCT in closer proximity to Gottfredson's circumscription and compromise theory. The task performance model focuses on two primary aspects. First, the level of success an individual achieves in their educational or occupational activities. And second, the level of determination and persistence they display in the face of adversity, which is where the performance model overlaps with the choice model. The performance model and choice model overlap as they are both focused on persistence. In the choice model, it is seen in terms of choice stability, that is, endurance to stick with a certain choice. In the performance model, it is perceived in terms of performance adequacy. The interplay between a person's ability, self-efficacy, and outcome expectations and performance goals determines educational and professional/vocational performance. Past performance influences self-efficacy and outcome expectancies, which in turn is influenced by performance evaluations of current goals. In other words, how we perform today affects our perspective of past performance, which in turn affects not only our sense of self-efficacy and future performance expectations, but also how we view future performance. Objectively judged performance and ability are supplemented, not substituted, by self-efficacy. People's perceptions of what they can achieve are influenced by their previous and current performance, as well as what they believe they are capable of, all of which determines their future goals. The satisfaction model. According to Lent, the work satisfaction model focuses on people's perception of satisfaction, or well-being in education and/or occupation. The elements that are providing satisfaction, according to SCCT, overlap with those of the other models. Lent argues that people are likely to be happy relative to the extent of, first, their involvement in activities they value. Second, their perception of themselves making progress in their goals. Third, the possession of strong self-efficacy, a strong view of what they can do and in achieving their goals. And lastly, their access to the means and environment that help promote their self-efficacy and achievement of their goals. Lent adds that it is also affected by the aspects of an individual's personality, and work conditions at the place of occupation or study. Lent goes on to say that personality and environment can impact or affect work satisfaction in a variety of ways. This is an intriguing insight and contribution for us career practitioners, since it brings satisfaction down to a more personal and individualized level, demonstrating that these may be changed. These add complexity to the paradigm, but they are necessary, according to Lent. Social cognitive career theory in practice. This notion would be a great starting point for study into what motivates distinct groups of people to make certain vocational and career choices. Tang, 2009, for example, in her research on the gender implications of SCCT, let me realize that this model enables for research and exploration of gender bias and cultural bias. Tang argues for a more individualist approach and awareness, rather than allowing cultural, social, or gender influences to influence the process, when it comes to individual support, as opposed to career education, where the SCCT model can provide a model for exploring individualist barriers to career and occupational goals. SCCT can be applied in two ways in practice. First, it can assist practitioners in delving into client preconceptions and views of roadblocks to accomplishing certain goals, as well as where they originate or fit in. Second, and related to this, it can aid in the exploration of strategies to get around the roadblocks that are stopping the customer from reaching their objectives. Career education programs are conceptualized and evaluated by Lent. These programs can assist young people alter their self-efficacy beliefs and keep abandoned career or educational choices as future options, among other things. Individuals may face difficulties in all aspects of vocational and educational decision-making. SCCT can aid individual work in the following ways. Explore the social cognitive processes at the root of choice dilemmas to broaden your possibilities. The model can provide a framework for identifying and investigating issues with the customer. SCCT can also help unlock doors that have been closed due to a client's incorrect views of self-efficacy and outcome expectations. A client may not believe they have the abilities or resources to accomplish a goal, even though those resources are readily available or can be developed. Returning to previously dismissed alternatives and exploring them using one of the SCCT models may reopen them. When a client's aptitudes are excellent for a particular path but the client displays little interest, it's possible that outcome expectations are to blame, which can be remedied by exploring with the client. In this regard, Lent suggests a card sorting exercise in which the client sorts various jobs into 3 piles: would not select, maybe, and would choose, after which they are further filtered using self-efficacy and outcome expectancies questions. SCCT can assist with coping, addressing hurdles, and establishing support where it may come from and in what form. Individuals are more likely to set and achieve their goals if they face few obstacles and receive plenty of help. Lent suggests using a decisional balance sheet, in which unfavorable elements of a choice are balanced against good aspects, which can then be contextualized for the customer. What would actually happen if? Rather than idealized, this is not possible. Goal setting and self-regulation assistance, particularly for individuals with low conscientiousness or through assisting clients in framing their goals. Thank you.